Right, so get this. We're going deep into the woods today, but not for a relaxing nature walk.
Oh, no.
No, no, no. This deep dive is about 3 real-life hunting encounters. So we're talking about hunting, but it
Yeah?
gets a little creepy.
All right.
And we pulled these straight from pasted text. They take this idea of hunting, usually peaceful and quiet, and turn it into something, well, a lot less peaceful. Have you ever been out in the woods and just felt like something was, I don't know, off?
Yeah, like you're being watched or something.
Exactly, like being watched. And that's the kind of stories we're dealing with today.
It is kind of interesting how these stories, they show you how close those two things are.
Hmm.
That familiar feeling, but then also something unsettling.
Yeah.
I mean, hunting is something we usually think of as very traditional, skillful, even peaceful.
Right.
But then in these stories, it's the backdrop for these, like, deeply disturbing events.
Exactly, like the woods themselves are hiding something. So, okay, first story. The Man in the Woods. We're going to upstate New York with Robert Sherman and his 10-year-old son, Peter. They're on a hunting trip. Seems pretty typical, father and son outing. Until they see this man kind of just lurking in the trees watching them.
So not just another hunter.
No.
Not someone who's lost, like a hiker.
No. And he's described as looking really out of place.
Uh-oh.
And with this strange intensity, like almost like a predator is sizing up its prey.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Right. Robert just kind of tries to brush it off at first, figures, whatever, he's a lost camper. But then the man shows up again, even closer this time, still watching.
Oh, that'd freak me out.
Right. Imagine that.
That feeling of being watched, especially if you're somewhere isolated,
Yes.
that can really get to you, like a primal fear.
Oh, yeah. And this is where it gets even weirder. So Robert, being a good dad, decides to just get out of there, right?
Yeah, good idea.
But as they're leaving, they hear footsteps behind them.
Oh, no.
He turns around and the man is there again.
Ugh.
This time, though, there's something on the ground next to him. A severed human head.
Wow. Okay, so we went from unsettling to completely horrifying. And, this kind of reminds me of some missing person cases I've read about,
Yeah.
especially people that have gone missing in more remote areas. Because it's so vast, it's almost impossible to find answers.
Yeah, it really is. And to make it even creepier, 2 local hunters had actually gone missing in that same area.
Oh, wow. Okay, so is it connected?
We don't know.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder what that was all about. Was it a message? A warning?
Yeah, some kind of calling card.
But the story just ends there. The man disappears into the woods and is never found.
Oh, wow.
Okay, story number 2. The hunters were the hunted. So this one's in Colorado. 21-year-old Nathan Zielinski and his friends are on their first hunting trip.
First one.
Yeah, they're all excited. Head deep into the Colorado wilderness. No idea what's waiting for them.
Oh, boy.
So they run into a group of 3 men, and they just look like, I don't know how to describe it, like classic creepy woodsmen.
Okay, I can picture that.
Yeah, large, unkempt, just kind of giving off a bad vibe,
Yeah.
And these guys, just as they're passing each other on the trail, they just nod silently at Nathan and his friends.
But something felt wrong.
Yeah, just wrong. And, sometimes we get that feeling, but we just ignore it.
Yeah, that little voice.
Yeah, that voice saying, something's not right.
But you just want to enjoy the day.
Exactly. And for these guys, that voice was right. Later that night, they're all tucked in their tents, right? Nathan hears someone trying to get into his tent.
Oh, no.
He just plays dead, hoping to scare whoever it is away. But then when he checks on his friends, one of their tents is wide open, and those same creepy guys are inside.
Oh, my God.
Imagine just that shift. You're having a peaceful night under the stars, and then suddenly you realize you're being hunted.
Yeah, that's primal, like fight or flight.
Exactly. And it gets worse. They confront these guys, but suddenly there are tons of other figures appearing out of the darkness.
What?
Surrounded. They're surrounded the entire time.
Oh, my gosh.
Somehow they get away, but they never find out who those people were or what they wanted.
That's almost scarier, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Not knowing.
Yeah, like were they some kind of cult? Some people living off the grid. We just don't know.
Or something else entirely.
Yeah, like something we haven't even thought of.
Yeah.
Okay, ready for the last story?
Yeah, lay it on me.
This one's called The Man with the Sack. So Jared, an experienced hunter, he's on a solo night hunt, settled in his hunting tower, using his night vision scope, when he sees movement in the darkness. There's this man dressed in black dragging a heavy sack.
I've heard stories about lone figures in the woods carrying mysterious things, always in folklore and stuff, right?
Yeah, and they always represent the things we don't know.
Exactly, and that's what makes it scary, not knowing the unknown.
And it gets even creepier. The man stops and looks directly at Jared.
Oh, no.
like acknowledging he's been seen, and then he starts climbing up the ladder to Jared's hunting tower.
Oh my God, what would you do?
So Jared has his rifle ready. He's about to shoot,
Yeah.
but then the man climbs back down and just vanishes.
Oh my.
So Jared's freaked out, right?
Yeah.
He decides to get out of there, but he makes a mistake.
What's that?
He turns on his flashlight.
Oh no, that's like a beacon.
Yeah, like a beacon in the dark.
You never do that.
He hears footsteps almost immediately. The man's back. So in the chaos, Jared fires his gun and hits the man in the shoulder. He manages to get away, call the police, but when they search the area, nothing.
Nothing.
No body, no sack, just blood.
So what was in the sack?
We don't know.
What was he doing there?
We don't know what happened after he got shot.
We don't know.
It's just blood in the woods, a missing man, and absolutely no answers.
Wow, that's creepy.
And that's what we're left with. So 3 stories, all unique,
Yeah, definitely.
but they all have this common thread. These unexpected encounters, the unsettling feeling of something lurking out there that we just don't see.
What do you think stands out the most about these stories? I think it's how they play with what we expect to happen. We go into the woods thinking, okay, this will be peaceful, this will be an escape, but it's a reminder that it can be dangerous too.
Right.
And mysterious.
Yeah.
And they make us question how safe we actually are, because there might be things out there that we just don't understand.
Okay, so we just heard 3 stories that are definitely creepy,
Yeah.
but why are they so unsettling? What makes these kinds of stories stick with you?
I think, they tap into this primal fear of the unknown, right? Like we go into the wilderness expecting to find peace and quiet.
Right, and escape.
Yeah, and solitude. But then these stories remind us that it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Unpredictable.
Like, have you ever been walking alone at night and hear footsteps behind you?
Oh, yeah.
Your senses just go crazy?
Yeah, and especially when it's somewhere like the wilderness where help could be really far away.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It reminds you that even though we have all this technology and we think we're in control,
Right.
we're still vulnerable.
It's easy to forget how much we rely on all our modern stuff until we don't have it anymore.
Exactly. Your cell phone is useless. You need those survival skills that you never use. And that's when all the psychological stuff kicks in, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like your heart's racing, you can't breathe, you can only focus on what's right in front of you.
Right. Fight or flight.
Yeah, exactly.
So these stories are almost like a reminder of those dangers that our ancestors faced.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so let's go back to the specifics of each story.
Okay.
In The Man in the Woods, we have that mystery of the severed head
Yeah.
and the missing hunters. What do you think his motive was?
I mean, it's so hard to even imagine, right? What was he trying to do? Was it a warning, like a ritual?
Yeah, was it something even worse?
Yeah, and how did those hunters go missing? I mean, was it foul play? Or did something else happen to them?
Yeah, and the wilderness makes it so difficult
Oh,
to
absolutely.
find any answers.
Yeah, it's like the perfect place to hide evidence.
Right.
The area is so huge, there are no witnesses, things decompose so quickly.
It's like the woods are hiding the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the hunters were the hunted?
Okay, so this story, I think, shows a different type of fear.
Okay.
The fear of being stalked
Yeah.
and hunted by a whole group of people. And they planned it, which makes it so much worse.
Right.
They surrounded the camp.
And they never found out who they were.
Yeah, or what they wanted.
I think that's even creepier.
It really is. It makes you think, like, are there groups out there that we just don't know about?
Yeah, operating in secret, and we have no idea what they're doing.
It really makes you feel like you're not in control.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the man with the sack. I mean, more questions than answers with this one.
So many questions.
What was he doing there? Why the sack? And what happened after he was shot?
We just don't know.
This one, I think, really gets to us because it's all about the things we just don't understand.
Right, the unexplained.
We don't know what's in the sack, so we start to imagine all the things it could be.
Right.
And a lot of the time, those things are scarier than what it actually was.
Yeah, we fill in the gaps with our own imagination. Okay, but we've been focusing on all the scary stuff. Most people that go into the wilderness are fine.
Oh, absolutely.
These are the exceptions.
It's like when you see those news stories about shark attacks.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it seem like they're everywhere, just waiting to get you.
Right.
But the chances of actually being bitten are so, so small.
Exactly. We need to keep things in perspective, but I think it's also a reminder
Yeah,
to not get complacent.
absolutely. And to be prepared.
Okay, so let's talk about being prepared.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone going into the wilderness, whether they're hunting, hiking, whatever?
Okay, first thing. Always tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back.
Yeah, that's basic but important.
Because if something happens, someone knows where to look.
What about communication?
Yeah, cell phone is good,
Right.
but service can be bad in remote areas.
Oh, for sure.
So consider a satellite phone or a personal locator beacon.
Okay, and navigation.
Yeah, a lot of people use their phone's GPS.
Right.
But what if your battery dies?
Oh, yeah, or you lose signal.
Exactly. So you need to learn how to use a map and compass.
Those old school methods.
Yeah, always carry them with you.
So communication, navigation, what else we pack?
Okay, so you have the obvious things like food, water, appropriate clothes.
Right.
But make sure you have a first aid kit, a fire starter, a knife, a whistle,
Okay, those are all good.
just in case.
And what about like the mental side of things?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
We've been talking about fear, fight, or flight. How can someone prepare themselves for that?
I think it's about knowing what to do,
Okay.
like learning about wilderness, survival techniques, basic first aid, how to handle running into a wild animal.
So it's not just the gear. It's
Oh.
having the knowledge too.
Yeah, and the right mindset.
Yeah.
Because being prepared isn't just about the physical stuff, it's about being able to stay calm.
Right. Make good decisions.
Exactly.
So in a way, all these creepy stories
Yeah.
can actually teach us something.
Yes.
But there's another element that we haven't really talked about.
Okay, what's that?
Folklore
Oh, yeah.
and storytelling.
Yeah.
How that shapes our perception of the wilderness.
These hunting stories, even though they're rare,
Yeah.
they've become part of our folklore.
It's like those campfire stories.
Exactly. They might not be real, but they use our deepest fears.
Keep you on the edge of your seat.
And they have a purpose. They teach us to be careful,
Right.
be prepared,
Right.
remind us that nature can be unpredictable.
So there's a value in being a little scared.
Absolutely. It's about approaching the wilderness with respect.
Okay, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what should our listeners remember?
I think the most important thing is that while the wilderness can be beautiful and peaceful,
Yeah.
it also deserves our respect. We need to be prepared for whatever it throws at us.
Mentally and physically.
And even though these stories are rare, they do happen, so learning from them, understanding fear, being prepared, all of that can help us face the unexpected.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into, well, all these creepy hunting encounters. We've heard the stories, talked about the fear, and how to be prepared. Now I think it's time to look at the bigger picture. Like, what do these stories tell us about how we view the wilderness?
It's a good question. They're unsettling, sure, but they
Yeah.
do make you think. Like, we have all this technology now.
Right.
We try to control nature, but we're still a part of it.
Yeah.
We can't escape that.
It's humbling, right?
It is.
We like to think we're at the top,
Yeah,
but then these stories happen and you're like, oh, wait,
right.
we're not always in control,
Nope.
which is scary, but also kind of freeing in a way.
Yeah, it makes you approach the wilderness with a little more humility, respect.
Yeah, like we're guests of
Right.
this amazing ancient world.
And, it makes you think about hunting, too.
Yeah.
Like, it can be a good way to manage wildlife populations. But you have to do it responsibly, ethically.
It's all about balance.
Exactly. Understanding our role.
Yeah, because you're not just taking a life when you're hunting.
Right?
You're affecting everything.
The whole ecosystem.
Yeah, and these stories, the hunting, the being hunted, it all blurs together.
It makes you think about the choices we make.
Yeah, not just as hunters, but as humans.
Every decision we make,
Yeah.
it impacts everything around us.
So let's talk about technology.
Okay.
It can make things safer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. GPS, satellite phones
Of that gear.
help you navigate, communicate, stay comfortable.
But there's a downside, right?
Sure.
What do you think it is?
I think it gives us a false sense of security.
Okay, I see that.
Like, we think we're invincible because we have all this stuff.
Right, and then we take more risks.
Exactly. Or we rely too much on technology.
Right, and we forget to just enjoy it.
Yeah, like we're so busy taking pictures for social media
Yeah.
that we forget to actually be present.
Yeah, it's like we're not really there.
We become observers instead of participants.
So it's about finding that balance then.
Yeah, use technology to make things better,
Right.
but don't let it take over.
We need to connect with nature.
Disconnect from all the digital stuff.
Remember why we're out there.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts for our listeners?
I think the big question is, how can we have a better relationship with the wilderness?
What do you think? How can we do that?
I think it starts with education.
Okay, yeah.
Teach the next generation about conservation, how to enjoy nature responsibly,
Make them care about it.
and remind them that we're all connected.
Like really connect with it, not just take pictures.
Exactly.
And be good stewards,
Yeah.
right?
We're not just visitors.
Yeah.
We're caretakers.
We have to make good choices, support conservation, protect these places.
Absolutely, because if our wild spaces aren't healthy,
Yeah.
the planet won't be either.
It's not just about the environment.
It's about doing the right thing.
Yeah, and finding a way to live with nature, not just take from it.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Protect it so that everyone can experience it.
Well said. So I think that wraps up our deep dive into these creepy hunting encounters. Hopefully you've learned something.
Yeah, definitely.
Wilderness can be beautiful,
Yeah, it is.
but it can also be dangerous.
Mysterious.
So be prepared, be respectful, and let's keep these places wild for everyone.
Absolutely.